want to bring in Congressman Lee Zeldin. Congressman, good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Maria.
What's your take on the relationship here between ISIS and Syria? All of this millions and millions of money that they are making together and trading in oil.
Well, it's turning ISIS into a multi-billion-dollar enterprise that's growing in strength and number and resources. It's unfortunate whenever we see, because of rules of engagement, one of our planes returning with all of the bombs not dropped, yet we had the intelligence of where these resources come from. It's one more opportunity that has passed by for us to choke off ISIS before they acquire this wealth. It's concerning to see a link between ISIS and the Syrian government.
Yeah.
In some respects, we would hope that what would come out from the chaos in Syria, maybe that the international community, the free world, especially the leader of the free world and the President of the United States, would be part of a solution that would stabilize Syria, defeat ISIS, maybe replace Assad with someone who's not another Assad. But what we see is that every day, by the day, things are getting worse in Syria, and this link is it's of huge concern for me.
Yeah. Let me go back to the hearings yesterday, and of course the latest on the killing in San Bernardino, California. You met with FBI Director James Comey yesterday in a closed-door meeting. What can you tell us in terms of what investigators are looking at or what they've found from the iPad and the iPhone that was found in the car?
It was classified at the top secret level, so there's a lot that I can't share. But with that being said, the American public needs to know that there is a very active, very thorough, multi-level agency investigation that's taking place. I'd be surprised if any stone is left unturned. I hope that in the coming days and weeks that we will learn more from our government with regards to the radicalization of this couple, the links to terrorists, other clues, communications, past plans, and more. It's clear that they are, by the hour, learning a lot more about this couple and their links of who they're tied to, and hopefully more of that information is able to be made public by the FBI.
Real quick, we've got a lot of questions from my colleagues here on set, but let me just follow up on that, because Lindsey Graham was very interested in zeroing in on the idea that this marriage was arranged, that the terrorists found a way to infiltrate the U.S. via this jihadi bride fiancé visa. Do we know that's what took place, that this was an arranged marriage?
Oh, I think that that's a very legitimate concern that the senator expressed, that many others have as well. I think out of an abundance of caution, it's important for us to look at the visa program. There are many different ways to gain access to the country, including the fiancé visas.
Right.
So what we need to learn from this, as we're still investigating, is that we need to make sure that this isn't happening elsewhere, and I think that's way too likely.
John Bessie.
Congressman, I'm wondering, this is an issue that we're going to be dealing with for some years, terrorism. But we also have domestic terrorism, shooting in movie theaters in Colorado, shooting of little kids at schools in New York. This is one in a long string of really shocking events in the United States. What's the longer-term issue here? What's the longer-term way that Congress perhaps can begin to address the problem?
Well, to what we've just been discussing for the last few minutes, I mean, part of this has to do with if we don't defeat the threat overseas, we'll be facing it more and more here at home. This is the largest ISIS-inspired attack in San Bernardino.
Right, but
largest ISIS-inspired
attack. Is that this was not that while we do have a threat from abroad, we also have a threat domestically. So how do we address both of those problems?
Well, so there are a lot of different proposals and debates. You mentioned the shooting in Aurora. In that particular case, similar to Chattanooga, you have gun-free zones. In Aurora, you have the shooter going past 2 movie theaters that weren't gun-free zones in order to get to the gun-free zone. There's a debate as to whether or not that is good policy or not. There is a debate as to whether or not the worst thing for a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. There's a debate over whether or not, if the Paris attacks, there were 2 law-abiding citizens carrying firearms, if that would have helped the situation and maybe prevented the loss of life. There's a debate going on in Washington right now the president and many members of the Democratic Conference trying to not talk about ISIS and instead talk about the no-fly list. So I think that it should be reviewed and vetted, the terrorist watch list, the no-fly list as well, because you have infants, Ted Kennedy and other members of Congress, U.S. Marshals, innocent service members, people with similar names have ended up on this list. They shouldn't have been there in the first place. But I'll tell you that once that list is reviewed and verified, that they shouldn't have any access whatsoever. The terrorists, the known terrorists, suspected terrorists should have no access whatsoever to firearms and explosives. So that's part of the debate as well.
In terms of those people entering our country, do you believe there are other arranged marriages, other jihadi brides that have entered this country that perhaps are terrorists that have come through this fiancé visa?
Well, I would be surprised if there hasn't been. I don't know of a particular individual to be able to name or couple to be able to name, but it is a flaw with regards to the visa program, with fiancé visas, with the visa waiver program, gaining access to some of these other countries, the refugee resettlement program, which still has some flaws and an underbelly that ISIS and others are looking to exploit. So to your point, I would be more surprised if that hasn't happened.
All right, we'll leave it there. Congressman, good to have you on the program. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon, sir.